Hi friends, my name is Amanda and this is my channel, AceKreates. I am your Tunisian Crochet bestie and we are talking quite a bit about Tunisian Crochet in 2025 here. We're also going to be talking about laying the framework for 2025 in general. I have a lot to talk to you about today. We're going to be going through my WIPs that I'm carrying into 2025. We then are going to go over my goals and stats for 2024. Then we're going to be talking about my goals for 2025. I'm going to save my Make 9 for a separate video because I just think that that will be way too much to cover in one episode of the podcast. So it will either be its own standalone video, not as a podcast, or it will be the next podcast update. So stay tuned. So grab yourself a project and something to drink and let's get going. I have both my 2025 and prior to 2025 journal to help us guide the conversation today. The first thing we're going to talk about is the WIPs that I'm going to be carrying into 2025. I thought that this would be a great starting place so that way at the end of the year we can see how far we've come in terms of those WIPs, because you will see later that one of my goals is to actually not carry any WIPs over into 2026. So let's get to that page in my journal. So I'll probably look down a little bit. And first off, when I was gathering off all the WIPs, I, in my head, and for the longest time since January 1, thought I had 7 WIPs coming into the new year. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Actually, I have 8, which means my journal already has errors in it, but that's okay. It's a living, working document. It's supposed to have errors in it. The first WIP that is actually no longer a WIP, I finished it on January 3rd. And by finished, my definition of finished is it's cast off. I have not blocked, I have not woven in the ends because this is actually a gift make for a family member, so I'm not going to see them till February. So I am pushing and kicking that can forward. But it is my Adventurous scarf from Toni Lipsey. And it is one main skein from Montana Crochet along with 6 coordinating minis. 4 or 5 of them were from Montana Crochet and 2 of them were random Mulberry fiber skeins. It's harder to see probably in my photo with all my ends that still need to be woven in, but there it is. It's no longer a WIP. I alternated skeins. I did the main skein throughout, except in the middle. And then I just changed minis every time they would run out. So you can kind of see here, I'll kind of move it along here, my colors changing. I think if I were to plan this out a little bit better, what I would have done is had all this bright yellow in the center. Because as you'll see, I had another skein further down up in here because this is the end. And I would have liked all the bright yellow in the center and then like kind of fading it out a little bit more. The Adventurous scarf is my first finished object of 2025. And I'll probably show it one more time, like once I get it blocked, and I'll show final pictures, just like a quick update once it's like blocked and ends woven in, but I just wanted to show that to you guys. The next WIP that I'm carrying into 2025 is my Tulsta tee. I have bound off the body and I am only on sleeves. This Tulsta tee, I was hoping to actually get done this week, but I'll talk about another project that kind of delayed me. But this is my Tulsta tee. I spilled coffee on it, so I have coffee stains that I've gotten quite a bit of it out, but it'll need another kind of soak in the wool wash and some treatment, spot treatment. But I did bind off the body. This is a pattern by Rebecca Clow the Crayabea on Instagram, and I'm using Explore Knits and Fiber Denali Sock in Spindrift, I think is the colorway. I made the size large, or whatever in order corresponds to the size large in my pattern, or in her pattern. I think it's like the 42 and change bust. So I just have to do the sleeves. I'm doing the short sleeve version, so this shouldn't take me long once I pick up the sleeves. I didn't make any modifications except for under the underarm. I think I added 2 or 3 stitches on each side because I was just a little worried that there was gonna be some issues with enough room underneath the underarm. I've tried it on. It's like a perfectly snug fit, which is what I was going for in the bust. And I'm excited to get this off. I had made a goal for myself in January to get 3 projects off the hooks or needles before I cast this on, and I'm almost there. I had the one done. This is gonna be the second project off of my needles, and I'm just, because I'm having like severe cast-onitis, like I really want to cast something on, but my WIP bucket over here is way too big, and so I'm hoping to finish this up this week. So that's the second WIP that I am carrying into 2025, my Tolsta tee. This is my self-drafted Tunisian Crochet baby blanket. The yarn that I'm using is Lion brand Color Theory in various colorways that I'll link below and on screen. And I was almost done this. I was on the upper white border, and I know it doesn't look like it, honeycomb section, but my 7mm Tunisian crochet hook broke last week. And I said, oh, I freaked out. And then I said, oh, let me try the 6.5. Oh, it doesn't look that bad. Boy, was I wrong. It you could see. And because this is a gift make, I knew that I couldn't give this to someone. It was like wide, and then you could see it like tuck in and get tight. And it's just amazing to see the difference between the 6.5 and the 7mm. So I decided to pivot. I don't know if it was yesterday that I made this move, but I decided, yeah, it was yesterday. I decided to pivot and rip it out. And so I'm actually frogging directly from this blanket so that I don't have to like frog everything, wind it all up into balls, and then recast on. So I pivoted a little bit. I'm making something probably closer to more of a security blanket. It'll end up being closer to like 22 to 24 inches wide by about the same tall. And I went up to an 8mm hook, and I do have a backup in case this 8mm hook breaks. And so I'm actually in really good shape just for a day's work. This is one day's work, about 24 hours worth of work. And I am on my 4th color of 6 before I do another white honeycomb border. And so this has to be done no later than Sunday. And really, I would like to kind of like gently block it, just a spray block, light spray block. It's acrylic yarn. But I just want to get the edges a little bit more straight, because my edges on my return pass side are really great and I love them over here. But because I'm joining yarn over here, they get a little wonky, and so it goes like ripples in and out. And so that is something that will get done soon. And so we'll be done this week. So then I'm hoping that by the time we meet next, not only will we have the Tolsta tee done, we will also have this baby blanket, which then gives me permission to cast on a new project. And my husband has actually been asking for his pot holders. I might not count that as part of my real cast on since it's not for me, but I'm excited to cast something else on. So this baby blanket, Tunisian crochet baby blanket, I'm actually gonna do a video tutorial of it. I'm not writing a pattern by any means, but I do want to, I'm going to make like a mini version of it for the tutorial, and just something simple in the future. So I'll probably record it this week, but I don't know when it'll go up. Probably sometime in February it'll go up online. So that you can look forward to seeing in the future. The next project that I'm going to be taking into 2025 is my stripe pipe. And the stripe pipe by Veronika Lindberg was always supposed to be a 2025 project. And that's important because you'll see in my next video, when I do talk about my Make 9, the stripe pipe is on my Make 9. But this is my stripe pipe, and I have bound off one sleeve. I just have to do, I mean, I haven't bound it off, but I just have to do the Italian bind off for this. So the yarn that I'm using for this project, the main color, the creamy color, is Botanical Yarns in their Woolen Folk 2023 exclusive colorway. And then random Woolberry Fiber single fingering ply skeins that I'm holding double. All of this is actually fingering weight that I'm holding double because I didn't have enough DK weight of anything in my stash to have like sweaters quantity. When I first started buying hand-dyed yarn, I didn't buy like sweaters quantities or like top quantities. I would buy like a skein here, a skein there, single skeins, and I don't buy things like that anymore. And so I have about 3 inches here of the ribbing that I need to do about 1 more inch. I have this arm done, and this is actually where we were last time we met, so I did finish. Then I will do the neckline after that, and then I will do the other arm, and then I will see if I have enough to add 1 more inch here in the body ribbing. But I'm super excited to get this in my wardrobe. It's really cold here. I mean, cold for LA standards. It's been really windy with the fires and the Santa Ana winds and everything. And so I'm excited to get this. So this will be my, after everything else, this will be my next like goal to finish. So that way maybe I can cast off like 4 projects of the 8 pretty much right away. My pile is getting huge over here. I don't know if it can be seen in the shot, but the next WIP that I'm carrying into 2025 is the Drawn Together Cowl. I have no progress from anything, and this is the one that I forgot about. I'm just at the point where I'm making the I-cord channel, so I have to join my provisional cast on with my live stitches, and I messed up my provisional cast on, so it's taking me a lot longer. I almost wish I'd just done a knitted cast on and just done that and then just joined it together, because this is really, really slow, but I'm excited to see this progress. I'll probably gift it to someone. I'm using Woolberry Fiber, Berry Natural fingering in the colorway Pottery. And so that is another one that will probably be like a purse travel project once it gets going, but I have to get past this joined together, and it's just something that like my brain does not want to compute right now. So back to the WIP pile it goes, but that is my next WIP. My penultimate WIP, oh no, not my penultimate WIP, I saw the big bag over here. My next WIP is the Lynn Tank by Courtney Clark, and it's another one here. I'm just at this weird spot that I finally like figured out what was wrong, what I didn't see in the pattern, and what I needed to do. And so, but it's hard to like put this down. I started this in the summer of 2023. So it's a 1.5 years old. And it's hard to just kind of read where I'm at. I think I found out where I was at, but I'm like not 100% sure. I got some more clarification on the pattern, And so I really want this in my wardrobe though. I'm using Sorella yarn, her Spring Tonal Way Marseille. It's this lovely purple, muted purple. And so I really want this in my wardrobe for the summer. So that one I'll probably maybe pick up sometime this early spring so that I can have it and wear it into the summer months. So my next WIP in this giant bag is a blanket WIP. And I'm not sure exactly, I have all the yarn spun for it. This is my take on the, I think it's the Summer Fade Hexie by Mallory Krall. And let me see if I can pull out some of the Hexies. I don't know exactly how many I have, maybe like 20 or 30 Hexies. But I'm using like these blue greens from my stash, like single skeins that either I didn't like or they didn't have projects for or something like that. And so this past fall, I did a bunch of these. They're great travel projects. So I'll just pull out a sampling of the Hexies. So this is just kind of a sample of some of the Hexies randomly that I'm using for this project. So I think I have like I said, 20 or 30 of these, and I think I want this to be a house make. So this will probably be like a project all year project, and maybe towards the end of the year I can wrap it up and seam it together. I'd like to get the ones that I have done on like blocking mats, so that way I'm not waiting and trying to block. I think I need 190 some odd Hexies at the end, or 80 or 180 or 190 Hexies. And yes, the pattern does say you can join as you go, but because I'm using so many random skeins, I wanted and some of them are full skeins, I wanted them to seem a little bit more random. And so I want to put some thought into the layout of it before I join them together. So I'm going to block everything, and then I'm going to kind of start laying it out. I'm going to try to set a goal for later this kind of spring to say maybe do 2 or 3 Hexies a week, so that it's not so daunting when I have to do this. I'm also going to have to re-look up the pattern just because I haven't done them in a while. I think it's pretty simple, but from what I remember, but because I haven't done them in a while, I have to get it back into my brain. So I'm just using random skeins. This will be a great stash busting project for me, and I'm excited about that. And so I'm excited to get this blanket and have like this kind of scrap. It's not scrappy, although some of them are scraps, but like not unloved skeins, but not loved skeins, or skeins that I didn't really have because I just have single skeins I don't have a project for. So that is my penultimate WIP that I'm carrying into 2025, the Hexie blanket, the Summer Fade Hexie blanket. My last WIP that I'm carrying into 2025 is something that I cast on in 2022, and I would like to finish it. I'm about 60 to 70% there, and I just need to sit down. It's just regular crochet, and I just am not there. This is the Dahlia cardigan. I don't remember the designer, so I will be sure to put in the details below. But I envision this to be a house sweater. I basically have finished this whole panel, this arm, and I'm like halfway through where I need to be for this arm, and then I need to just finish down, and then whatever ribbing I might need to do, I'm using Lion Brand Heartland yarn in the colorway Grand Canyon. And so because I'm so close to being done, I just want to finish, but it's not a priority. So it'll probably be later this summer or fall for when I can like wear it again in the winter. But it will definitely get finished this year. Come heck or high water, it will definitely get finished. Yeah. So that is my Dahlia cardigan that I just put down in 2022 and never picked back up. So I need to pick that up. Those are my 8 WIPs that I am carrying over into 2025. Now that we've gone over the WIPs that I'm taking into 2025, we are going to go over my stats for 2024, my goals, did I meet them, along with my goals and plans for 2025. Let's get into it. First, let's go over the stats for 2024. I had 23 finished objects. 7 of them were sweaters, 5 of them were tees, tanks, and vests. 2 were like head apparel. One was a hat, one was a warmer, ear warmer. 5 shawls or cowls, 3 house objects, and 1 amigurumi. That should all add up to 23, hopefully. Not all of them were for me. There were a couple gift makes in there. There were a couple sample makes in there. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did 2 samples last year, 1 for my local yarn store and 1 for Sam at Clockwork Fiber Company. My total yarn in and out, I was net negative, and so I had 90 skeins come in and 191 skeins go out. Of those 191 skeins, 9 of them were cast on in a project and 100 were destashed. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did, in that 90 skein that came in, that did also include like yarn for gifts or yarn for not commissions or samples and things like that. I just include anything that comes in because I know it'll go right back out. So that all those 90 skeins wasn't like just all for me and my stash. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with the net negative goal, and I'm getting much more. I'm much happier about where my stash is currently heading into the new year. And I'm really excited about the goals that I have for it in 2025. So let's talk goals since we've reviewed our 2024 stats. So for 2024 goals, I had a goal to make 12. It turned into a make 9, and I ended up making 6 out of my make 9. I'm happy with that. I'm content with that. I have done things a little bit differently though this year to set myself up for success with a make 9, and I'll talk about that in a moment. I wanted to be net negative, check, did that. I wanted to destash yarn that I didn't want to use, check, and I'm still going to keep doing that. I wanted to knit my first sweater, check, knit my first garment, check. I wanted to continue expanding my Tunisian crochet skill set, definitely check, 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 check. I wanted to finish 24 in 24, and I came so close. And I think had I planned my December a tiny bit differently, I could have gotten 24 in 24. I was trying to frantic finish my stripe hype before the end of the year, and I really should have just focused on that Adventurous shawl and finished that, because that totally could have been done before the end of the year. So, oh well, it's just, I still was close. It was still pretty close. I wanted to work on patterns that I had purchased. I believe that's a check. I tried to not purchase, I did purchase patterns in 2024, but I tried to wait until I was ready to cast on something before I would purchase something. I wanted to go to Flock, check. I wanted to go to SoCal Fiber Festival, check, check, check. And then I had some smaller goals on socials about where I wanted to get to in terms of the community that I'm building. And I still have some room to go there. So that's okay. I'm okay with that. I've actually, have some awesome plans for 2025. So I can see some growth in our community here in 2025. With that in mind, let's talk 2025 goals since we just finished reviewing our 2024 goals. So this is my lovely goals page, and let's talk about them. So my number one goal is that I do not want to carry over any WIPs into 2026, which is why I'm trying to spend most of January working on my WIPs to try to crank out and finish as many as possible. I know that carrying 8 over into the new year, I'm not going to get them all done in January. It's definitely possible to get 4 out of 8 done in January, and then kind of tackle the others one by one. I don't have any deadlines right now. The only deadline I have is a test, but it's a really long test for Lindsay at Just the Worsted. And so it's not due till later this spring. And it's a Tunisian crochet sweater in the round. And I'm pretty confident that like once I get going, and especially if I can be monogamous with that by cranking off all my other projects, that should like work up really easy. So I just don't want to carry over any WIPs. So I'm going to be very mindful about casting on projects like willy-nilly, and not necessarily saying that I have to be a monogamous maker this year, but focusing on like 1, 2, maybe 3 projects at a time before casting new projects on. So my next goal for 2025 is to complete my Make 9. And I can't go into too much detail on this, but I have set myself up for success with my Make 9. And I'll talk about it more in my next kind of podcast video of my complete Make 9. I'll show you all the yarn, but that is my second goal. My third goal, which has a lot of rules to it, for 2025 is no buy yarn year, okay? And I'm giving myself a lot of leeway because if I would just say don't buy yarn in 2025, I would absolutely fail. So right now, my goal is to not use my money for new yarn, okay? So that means I can use it to like pay for shipping. I can, something like that, but I don't want to buy new yarn with my money. There is a caveat to that. So for example, if a dyer that, say Woolberry Fiber, has a pre-order for a yarn that I already have in my stash, and say I have 1 or 2 skeins, but if I get 2 more, I can make this really nice sweater with it, then I'm giving myself permission to do that. And I actually just did that. Woolberry has a pre-order for Flower Crown, and I have a skein of it in their berry cashmere, and I got 2 more so that I could make a garment with the yarn because I really liked the yarn. So that's where I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway. I don't see that happening quite a lot this year because, usually dyers don't revisit like collections. They might revisit 1 or 2 colorways. So I kind of got lucky with Woolberry. And she would probably be one of the biggest dyers. Like I would just need to keep an eye out for to see if she brings back a colorway. She's doing a year of like rewind. And so January was Flower Crown. So I am giving myself permission to do that. I can use gift cards that I would either received as a gift through like family and friends, or as commission in in trade for like sample work, I can do that, and I will allow myself to pay for shipping myself, so I can use the entire gift card for the yarn. If it's a gift make, I'm giving myself permission to buy yarn if needed. I'm gonna shop my stash first, but I'm going to give myself permission to shop if needed. For example, like my mom had asked for the sweater, the Indecision sweater. Fortunately, I had yarn in my stash, so I don't need to go out and buy yarn for this. But if I did not have DK weight yarn in my stash, because I actually don't have a ton of DK weight yarn in my stash, if I didn't, I would give myself permission, because I know that at the end of the day, I would not be keeping it. It would be a gift for my mother or a family member or a friend, okay? So that is when I can buy. So I can buy it if I need more skeins than I have in my current stash. But the idea is I generally would want to cast it on pretty soon, but I'm not holding that like hard and fast there. I can use gift cards or in trade, like for like sample making. I can also trade yarn in my stash. So say I have yarn in my stash, I list it for trade on a Discord or through my local yarn store with like my stitch friends. I can trade yarn, because to me that's just a one-to-one exchange in most cases, so that would be okay. And so for the most part, those are the rules that I'm trying to like, and the spirit I'm trying to live in 2025. Now, I may not hold to that, but like at least the first 6 months, that's really what I want to do. That's the spirit and intent. And the way I design my Make 9 is using my stash yarn, because I'd really like to work on getting this down, so that way I don't have to, like in 2026, I can buy yarn as my projects are decided. I'm also going to take a really good like dive into my stash and start project planning, and I'm probably going to do that in video form to show you. Like I'm going to just start pulling things and matching projects. Now some of it I've already done, but I'd like to show you, and then I'm going to reorganize the stash a little bit, so that way like everything that has a project is one place or 2 shelves, and then things that don't have projects can go somewhere else. That way I can always stay inspired. Right now I have a shelf that is my Make 9 shelf that I will probably add to anything that has a project, which means that my color coordination might not hold for my stash in 2025, but that's okay. I think I would rather like get inspired by my stash. I mean, I am inspired. I want to cast on so much right now. I just only have so much time in my day to work. So those are my no buy yarn rules. What do you think about that? I want to make 2 samples in 2025. I am trying to spread the joy of Tunisian crochet. So like when I went to SoCal Fiber Festival, I talked to several of the dyers about, hey, like you should have Tunisian crochet samples here. Reach out to me. I would love to make samples for you. So I'm hoping some of that comes to fruition in 2025. I want to make 25 items in 25. And I feel really good about that because I made 23 in 25. And I'm hoping to get 4 done in January of my WIPs. And my husband wants some plant holders, and those don't take much time. So like I could already be like 5, 6, maybe even 7 by the end of January, but don't quote me on that. So I want to de-stash, my next goal is that I want to de-stash 25,000 yards, which ends up being, if I'm de-stashing roughly, you know, like 20, no, I can't do the math. But I want to de-stash 25,000 yards. For the most part, I'm focusing on like my acrylic stash. That is what I'm focusing on. It just doesn't spark joy in me, so I want to make sure it gets to a home that can use it. My next goal is to be net negative in my stash, which I think is totally doable. And then my last goal is to use 25,000 yards in projects. And I haven't like tracked yardage in projects before. So, but I used 90 some odd skeins this past year. So I'm pretty sure that that should be doable. I don't have the exact yardage of what those 90 some odd skeins were. I know some of those were minis. So it'd be really interesting to see if I can get 25,000 yards in 2025. I already know I'm off to a good start because that Adventurous shawl has something like maybe 1,000 skeins or 1,000 yards or so. Maybe not quite. But if I complete, I don't know. Anyways, I think 25,000 yards is doable with my 25 projects. Those are my goals for 2025. Let me know what you thought about my WIPs that I'm bringing in, my 2024 kind of review stats and goals, and did I meet them? And then my 2025 goals. What are your goals for 2025 in your making journey? I'd love to hear from you. Sound out in the comments below. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I publish bi-weekly podcasts where I keep you up to date with everything that I'm working on, but I'm also working on some Tunisian crochet content. I'm going to be writing up a tutorial for this baby blanket that I'm doing, and there's a lot more planned in the Tunisian crochet front. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I will see you in the next video. Bye now.